talking old school with you, David, to start kind of get into the conversation that is surrounding the association right now as we're waiting for the second half, the de facto second half of the season to get started, is, the annual hand-wringing over the All-Star weekend and the format that we just saw on Draymond Green, crapping all over it, quite frankly, while it's being played. On Turner, and just I'll give you the floor here on whether you think this matters or it is sort of an indication of a league where stars don't play every night, where we're load managing just for a 2.5 month tournament. David,
it matters, Rich. I mean, you can't say it doesn't matter. You are showcasing the absolute best players you have in your league, whether it's baseball or basketball or football or the NHL. The idea of an all-star game is these are the best players we have at this current time. We'd like you to watch them and see how great they are. So, yeah, it matters. Of course it matters. And so the amount of effort, right, is part of how that is viewed and how that is reflected. So I thought they did marginally better this year than they did last year. I mean, the game in Indianapolis was a monstrosity and embarrassment to the league. And correctly, they realized that they can't do that again. So they tried something different. I'm not going to say it was a resounding success and they should do this every year, but it was the fact that you had Wemby and Stephon Castle and some young guys with a little energy in it, and the old guys saying, we're not going to let these young guys punk us on the national stage. They played a little harder. So everybody played a little harder. That's all we're asking, I think, Rich. Like nobody's expecting, full court press. I'm picking you up 94 feet. That's not going to happen, but just play a little harder, give a little more effort. And they did. So, did they fix it? No, but it was a little better than it was last year.
Well, and again, and in the conversation we're having here, and I think maybe our colleagues across sports conversation may be having today, is through the prism of what the NHL just is doing.
Yeah, right? No, that's great.
And that there is a sense that it matters to these guys. Now, obviously, we don't want NBA players to hit one another in the same way we just saw in the Four Nations, right, between U.S. and Canada, but a competition, something competitive. Do you think we'll ever see that again, in an all-star weekend, David?
Well, look, I think U.S. versus the world is pretty much the last card they have to play, right? Like they've tried every other kind of permutation of picking the all-star teams. That seems to me to be the play. It seems to me what they were, even though we're supposed to believe that the 4 TNT people or the 3 TNT people actually pick the teams. I'm a little skeptical about that. I think it was more, let's get the old guys on one team. Let's get the international guys on one team. Let's get the young guys on one team and see what happens. And as a result, I think the competition was a little bit better, as I said. But the kind of logical way to take this out going forward is to have a U.S. versus the world kind of setup. Now, there are inherent problems with that potentially. And I think Damian Lillard pointed this out. There's way more. I know that there's a lot of international star players in the NBA. No, there are, but there's still more U.S. born players who are star level players than there are international. And so if you are basing contracts or bonuses on all-star appearances, well, you're making it a lot harder for more U.S. players to make all-star teams if you only have one team of 12 NBA players on it in a given year than for international players that just have more space. There's just fewer of them than there are U.S.-born players. So that's something you got to kind of work out and work through.
So expand the rosters, David, right? I mean,
Well, that's what I've only been saying for the last 30 years.
I mean, seriously, like
an easy fix.
Off of whose nose does this skin come? You know what I mean? Like it's what are we, certainly since listen, man, the last thing I want to be sitting here in this chair is talking about LeBron deciding too late and cost someone else a spot that he needs to stay healthy for the second half of the season, which we all knew, he needs to do and can understand that that's what he wants to do. And I don't want to be talking about, Wemby and Chris Paul getting disqualified in a silly competition, right? Or the fact that, a G leaguer is the only guy who's willing to stand up and show everybody that he can defy gravity. You know what I mean? Like, this is not the conversation we should be having off of this.
No, and I was glad to see John Morant say, maybe I'll dunk next year.
That's great.
I think the league needs this. They need somebody to do it. Like LeBron's not going to do it. We understand that time has passed, but some of these young guys have to step up and say, I'll do it. I'll try it. What the hell? I've got nothing to lose. I mean, what does Anthony Edwards have to lose? Like, you know what I mean? Like, seriously, what does he have to lose? Like, he's a great player. He's going to get a max. He's already on a rookie extension. Like, he's one of the best players in the league. Like, nobody's going to think less of him if he finishes second in a dunk contest. You know what I mean? No. So you like to think that Ja and Ant and some of the young guys that are coming up, maybe SGA one year, says, I'll do it. What the hell? Let's have some fun. Because it's about having some fun. And the thing that I think resonates with Mac McClung among most people, I think most right-thinking people, is the fact that he's a young guy that's willing to try some different stuff and have some fun with it, and jump over a car, like, that's kind of cool. Come on, it's cool, and you'd like to see, like, I remember when Gerald Green blew out the cupcake on the rim or on the backboard? That was fun. Yep. That's fun stuff. Let's get some fun back into this thing.
Yeah, and then you're going to see the player who wins the dunk contest, or at least captures the fancy in attempting to win it, playing an actual NBA game afterwards. That's helpful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's helpful. And and if some of the stars are needing to protect their brand by not being in the dunk contest, all I would do is say, of all the accomplishments Michael Jordan has, you and I could fill up the rest of my show over the next hour and a half talking about him, David. But the Jumpman logo is of Jordan winning the dunk contest. Like, you have no idea what brand building opportunities can come up from you saying you believe you can fly. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's the way I would go here on this front.
Absolutely. I agree. And hopefully, we're seeing some momentum toward that with some, and again, I think it has to be the younger players in the league. I get that people don't necessarily want to see the old guys dunk. Although if LeBron did it, of course, it would be, the ratings would be insane, but he's not going to do it at this point. But yeah, I mean, it was great to see Castle dunking. I hope he does it again next year. He had some great dunks. Like, he was terrific. Like, he wasn't. It's not like he sucked. He was awesome.
Yeah.
He had a couple of really good dunks, and I hope he'll play again. He'll do it again next year.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.